James, we just had Jared Bauman on the pod. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, everyone knows Jared from the niche pursuits. So you'll recognize the voice if you don't know what he looks like and you're listening on Spotify, etc. But we dive into a lot of different things around his agency. We dive into what he's up to regarding his own niche website, some Parasite stuff, Amazon influencer, of course. I know if anyone listens to Jared's talks on various podcasts, he's often talking about Amazon influencer. And then we dive into a little bit of content deletion, and then Jacky just rinsing his clients, basically, at the end of the podcast.
That was absolutely not true. But yeah, man. Yeah, it was a good pod. It was really fun to just jam out with Jared. Always love having people in our industry. Come on.
Yeah, it's always good talks. And if you want to talk with more people in the industry, make sure you check the link down in the description. There's the Advise community link. And the special thing about that link is the most special link you'll find on the internet to join the community because 1, you get a discount for life, and 2, you skip the interview process to get in. So that link down in the description is your ticket to the community. It's pumping right now. I mean, shit, every day that thing's going. I actually have to fucking exit Slack sometimes because it's always going off when I'm recording podcasts and shit like that. But it's super busy. Everyone there is building sites, building their own businesses. So there's lots to learn, to interact, to connect, and to find good deals. I know Jacky just put in recently a bunch of deals he negotiated to get you some discounts on various tools and softwares, etc. So make sure you check that link in the description.
Yeah. James, what do you think of the community right now? Like,
dude, it's pumping, man.
It's kind of going crazy also, right? Like this week, even more so than last.
That's why I'm being more involved because it's just so much going on in there. Just like, I mean, I post my goals in there every week now just because it's cranking and then posting and answering all sorts of random shit that comes up. So yeah, it's actually really, really good.
Yeah, it's fun. I like chatting away with people inside.
Yeah, for sure.
And I love seeing what people are up to on a weekly basis. It's fun. And it's people keep me accountable. So guys, go sign up for the Advise community. Use the coupon code INDEXY. You get a lifetime coupon. So yeah, go listen to the pod as well. What's good, everyone? It's Jacky Chou.
And this is James Lacey.
And you're listening to This Week in Digital Marketing. All right, what's going on, guys? You're listening to This Week in Digital Marketing. My name is Jacky Chou. Co-host is James Lacey. And we have a special guest on today, Jared Bauman, who is typically on the other side with podcasts, huh? Why don't you give the audience a bit of an intro? But I'm sure, dude, everyone knows who you are.
My name is Jared Bauman. I run a marketing agency, 201 Creative, but also have been hosting the Niche Pursuits podcast for probably 2.5 years now, quite a while. So yeah, usually I'm interviewing somebody like yourself, but today the roles are reversed, I suppose, and I'm here to talk with you guys in your fantastic podcast.
Yeah. We are typically way more ill prepared than you are because you do your research, you do all that. We just kind of jam out with our guests. I hope that's all right with you today. But yeah, I think the audience is probably more curious about like what you're up to on a day-to-day basis, what that looks like with 201 Creative you mentioned. What other like fun things are you working on like on a weekly basis?
The bulk of what I do is manage the agency. So we do mostly SEO work for businesses ranging from local businesses to kind of larger, either SaaS, content, service-based businesses. I do a lot of, here's the model. And this is where I think a lot of people have some intersections with the agency world and then kind of like the website building world. Jacky, like running an agency scale is kind of hard, and managing teammates as different work orders come in, as different clients come and different clients go. And so we started building websites as like a secondary thing that teammates can do if they're not working on client projects. Some months we have a lot of client work in the content side of things, other months not as much. And so in those months, they can go and work and write for some of the websites that we own and monetize. So we also build, what are called like niche websites or whatever you want to call them on the side. And that gives me a good platform to be pretty active in that space as well. That's obviously a lot of what we talk about on the Niche Pursuits podcast. And then there's, a whole assortment of other kind of little side hustles. James and I like to nerd out on the Amazon influencer program that I've been testing this year.
We talk about that a lot.
Yeah. What most of our DMs are filled with. But yeah, so there's all sorts of little other things I'm always testing and having fun with, like all of us. But the bulk of my time is spent running the agency. And then when our agency has gaps, we fill it in with building websites.
It's a smart way of approaching it. Why don't we do a quick rundown of your agency? How do you get clients right now? Do you rank locally? Is it through word of mouth? What's the head count at the agency as well?
Well, we're the classic kind of analogy of the carpenter's house that never gets finished. Like our SEO is pretty bad. I think we do have a page for San Diego SEO, and I think we're on like page 2 for that. So no, we don't get many clients from any traditional source of marketing other than networking and referrals. I would like that to change, honestly, down the road, but it's a challenge of being so busy with the referrals we get. So, I have like a 20-year background being an entrepreneur. So when I started the agency, I had, what they call like the Rolodex business contacts. And so that was what got our agency off the ground. And then just performing well for clients, and they refer other clients and stuff, has been the way we've grown so far. It's not scalable in the long term, but it's been really good so far, allowed us to get all of our processes dialed in. Long term, so we did just hire someone who does some sales for us. And so I think the next steps will be doing better job at getting leads. We have some plans in place to do some lead generation. And then he's really dialed in with what we're doing. He understands the market really well. So that's the next iteration of how we get clients.
Nice.
And then we're in terms of size wise, because you'd asked about that. I'll kind of finish that. We are about 30 people now. So we were hovering in like the low 20s for a while, but we just expanded. Yeah. So we're about 30 people now.
That's crazy. That's like a huge headcount, actually. That's wild. And how many, roughly, you don't have to give an exact number, but like how many clients do you retain right now?
We are at about 35 clients or so. We're recording right as we get into Q4. So this is when we get our busiest. So we're at about 35. That's our max for now. And then we'll go down to like, summer is usually our slowest. So we'll go down to like 25 to 30 during the summer.
Cool. And I guess your business model is same as every other SEO agency. You kind of just run the retainer model, and then they kind of get standard backlinks, content, ongoing technical SEO, so on and so forth.
In a nutshell, yeah. A lot of our average client, I don't know why I'm blanking on it, how long they stay around. I sound like a really smart marketer right now. Our average retention is about 16 months. So a lot of times they'll move from like some of the basic SEO services and into kind of more full stack marketing type stuff, where we're doing kind of funnel creation, email marketing, all that stuff on top of it. But certainly first 6 months out of the gate is almost always just a huge SEO focus.
Gotcha. And are they mostly like local clients or international or national type of clients? Because those are like super different like profiles of like the type of work you do.
Yeah.
Right? It's crazy different.
It's so different. It's not even like the same approach to SEO, honestly. Like when you add a locale to a search term, it like changes the entire map of the algorithm. Most are going to be like a national company that's selling something online, whether it's like an e-com company selling a shoe or a water bottle, whether it's a national company that places, product in a bunch of different stores or sells a SaaS online. So it's mostly companies targeting non-local search queries.
Cool. And what is your like ultimate end goal with your agency? Are you looking to exit in the future? Are you just going to cash flow this until SEO is dead for the 15th time? Or what's the vibe on the agency?
Eventually sell it. Yeah. I start everything to sell eventually. I've sold my last 2 businesses, and I'm sure this one will be no different. But, it's an age-old trope, but it's true. If you build a business to sell, it's hard to sell. But if you build a business to keep, it's a lot easier to sell it. So I'm not building it to sell it. I know that'll be the end game at some point.
Nice. Have you started shopping around? You know, the agency multiples aren't great, right? It's like kind of shitty.
Terrible. It is. I know. No, Jacky, if you're interested in growing your agency and want to buy mine, just let me know. We can do the negotiations right here, or we can do them off air if you want. No, I'm not looking.
You'll be buying your whole book of business pretty much.
So many cool things that we have coming up. I'm excited about. So no, not now. Maybe like 5 to 10 years from now. That's kind of the target, I suppose. But we'll see. This world is changing fast, So
right.
I don't want to say too much, or else I'm going to look like a fool whenever that time comes.
No, that's cool, man. Nice. Is your agency utilizing any AI at all right now? Maybe for like, I don't know, outlines for content, like simple, I guess, like maybe some ad creation here and there. I don't know. What's like the extent of it?
Article outlines? Yes. We're using AI in a lot of places, never on its own yet. It's always kind of a starting point and then heavily edited. I don't think we've started publishing any AI content, even though it's even heavily edited. We've done that quite a bit on our websites and kind of been testing that out. I don't think we've deployed any of that to clients. If we did, it was in a one-off fashion that I'm forgetting about. So it's not like in our SOPs or anything. But yeah, article outlines. I'm trying to think what else, looking over our systems. We'll use it to aggregate data a lot. So we'll kind of use it to pull trends out of data, to give us starting points with data analysis. Just a lot of that kind of stuff. So not a lot of not a lot of front-facing stuff. We're not using it for keyword research. I think that's a bad way to use it. It's a whole other topic, but
yeah, nice. Okay. Do you feel bullish about the SEO industry, or do you feel like you can transition to whatever the next version or iteration of SEO is in the future? Because you're saying you have a pretty long time horizon in like exiting, right? 5 to 10 years is a freaking long time. SEO would change and die like 15 times, like at least in between that.
I am not concerned long term, speaking very high level, about the future of marketing. I have chosen to focus my efforts on SEO because I think it's probably it's a combination of a very effective marketing tool and one that is very not very well understood by most marketers, and so it makes for a very good agency service model. And if it stops becoming those same things, then we'll continue to pivot the agency towards what is the most effective marketing tool at the time. Having done marketing for 20 years now, having grown company for 20, I'm kind of the old guy, but I've seen so many transitions already that transition doesn't scare me anymore. Like, okay, so SEO dies, great. Companies will still need to market their business. We'll just figure out what that is. SEO doesn't die. I don't think it is, by the way. Great, we'll continue to pivot. I just think when you've been around the block a few times, you've heard this before, you've seen it before. I was a professional photographer when we went from film to digital, which might sound like a history lesson at this point, but it was just as scary, and I could go through a couple of those scenarios. So yeah, it'll change. It's going to be crazy. And I'm here for the ride, and it'll be fine.
Nice. And operating an SEO agency myself, I know it's pretty profitable compared to some other, I don't know, like creative agencies, for example. Those run at like 5 to 10% margins. Yep. So what do you do with your money? Like, are you just S&P 500 and chill? Are you investing in rental properties? I love asking people this, by the way. It's like something I've been thinking about lately. So I'll just ask everyone this. I hope that's all right.
I love it.
But yeah, what do you do with your money?
So let's see. Some of the money goes back into websites. And I think we're going to, sell one this weekend. It looks like that'll close escrow this weekend, a small one. But yeah, so, we have a collection of websites that the agency owns, and we've talked about that model. So some of the money goes into investing in those, whether it's buying one to grow or, and so there's kind of a little bit that goes over there. But once the money, not talking company related, we have owned and currently own investment property. My wife and I have owned apartment complexes all the way down to like a duplex and stuff like that. So we have money in investment property. I'm always keen to see your updates on some of your properties, Jacky. Like I think what is it, a place in Lisbon?
Yeah, but it's not like a complex. It's just a building. That's it. It's not like a crazy one. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, ours were like, I think like 8. We had like an 8-unit complex and like a 9-unit complex. It's hard to call it a complex. It's like more like a building.
Oh, got it.
But it was apartments and stuff. And there's money in like individual stocks, but very much like maybe sub 15% of my my portfolio that's in the market, and the rest is going to be a lot of index funds and kind of like long-term growth funds.
Nice, pretty well diversified then. I'm sure you sleep very well at night. I remember there was a time where I was overexposed on niche websites, and that kind of ruined my sleep. Yeah.
I'm still a little overexposed on them, to be quite honest with you. When you own an agency, you're kind of in that. I consider that the niche websites and the agency to be in the same bucket. So I feel a little bit over. I feel a little over invested there, but there's also expertise. So I'm okay with being over invested in an area I have expertise in. If I was like this much invested in like Disney stock, I'd be much more nervous, but yeah, so I'm a little heavy over there, but at the same time, there's expertise there. But long term, like next 5 years, I'd like to kind of diversify a bit out of that space a little bit more. A lot of real estate, but no more than what we have in the market. So yeah, it's I guess so. Yeah, I sleep pretty well anyways, except when I'm getting up early to be on a podcast.
Yeah, sorry about that. We're currently recording, I think 6 a.m. for Jared.
It is.
Sorry about that.
You should get bonus points for this.
Yeah. Sign up for his. You have a newsletter, so we'll pop it in the description. Sign up for his newsletter to give thanks for him to.
Thanks for the 6 a.m.
There you go. That'll be plenty of thanks if that'll be more than I need. I got a cup of coffee here. I'm good. Don't worry. I'm just giving you a hard time.
Yeah. What about your niche website side? You mentioned you're pretty exposed there. I know you bundle the agency in there with it, but how many sites do you have? How far down the journey are they? Are they doing like 5K a month, 10K a month, 50, 100? I don't know. Because you don't really. I don't see you talk about them much, right? How are they doing?
I don't talk about them too much. I talk about them here and there. I don't talk about them as much because I don't want to be like just the niche site guy, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Several of them already.
Yeah, I have a lot of other things going on, so I kind of want to like try to make sure that people know that like, oh yeah, I do other things. Let's see. I started 2 sites in 2000. What is it? Probably 17 and 18 before the agency started. I still have those 2 sites, so I still own those. And then the agency has 4 or 5 sites. Our biggest site at the agency is making about 10K a month. That one has been growing nicely. We bought that site actually when it was making about $2,000 a month, and so we've grown it to about $10,000 a month. We have a couple other sites that are making between $1,000 to $3,000 a month, and then a couple sites that are sub $1,000 that are kind of just starting off. My site, I have one site that's like I started in like 2017, haven't worked on it since like 2019. It makes like $700 a month. It's a good site.
That's solid.
But it just sits there. And then I have a site that I do talk about this one from time to time. It's made anywhere from like $6,000 to $7,000 a month down to like about $1,500 a month, depending on which cycle of the Google update it's on. So we're on the good part right now, but I mean it changes about every 6 months. It just goes up and goes down, it seems. So it's kind of a fun personal journey on that site. But yeah, so basically 5 or so sites with the agency, and then I still have a couple sites that I started from before the agency was around.
Nice. You mentioned these Google cycles. Yeah, I feel for that. I have several sites like that. It's so weird. It just bounces up and down, and you don't know what to do with it. Because like when it bounces like that, you can't even sell it. It's just like, what are you going to do with it, right? I don't know.
Well, when it bounces every like 6 to 9 months, like you can't even get like a trending 6-month average to even try to sell it, even if you were able to time it. I mean, we build all of our sites in roughly the same way. So, I mean, it's a little bit laughable that one site of ours or mine just like oscillates up, down, and the rest of the sites are like flat through. It's just so weird. So yeah, I mean, I have a couple ideas, but they're just nothing more than random theories. So yeah, it's very interesting though.
Could do what Jacky does and just redirect all those sites into his e-commerce sites and all sorts of stuff there. Maybe see a little bump.
Yeah.
I've thought about that. I've thought about ditching this whole site, yanking it down, grabbing all 800 articles off of it, and not even 301ing, just taking it all and just dumping it on an age domain and just starting over again and just seeing if all that content on a different domain would just all of a sudden skyrocket.
That would make a great YouTube video for your channel. You should do it.
That's exactly what I did for Far and Away, right? It's crazy. So what happened exactly was we bought a site. It was doing like 10K a month, and then it eventually got clapped by Google. Didn't do much with it. It's kind of just sat around for like a year and a half. And then we just took all the content, like you mentioned, didn't 301 it, moved it on to Far and Away domain, and then just let it sit. And then it just like mooned. And now we're back at like, I think we're at like 20K this month. And the thing is, I think what this means is like Google penalizes domains, not the content. It's not a content thing at all. So
exactly.
It means Google will always like this content. You just have to move it somewhere where the domain is like they also like. So that's what we've been doing a lot lately.
When you see a site like that where the content is good and Google has given it a lot of love, unless something that you did changed about it, and again, you could get into like, did a lot of technical problems develop on the site? Were you starting to throw a lot of 500 errors? Did you expand into a whole other topical silo, thus diluting the topical authority of the site? Like, if the content at one point ranked really well and did so for a while, there's a strong case that moving it to a different domain would do exactly what you talked about.
Yeah, and I think this opens up like a lot of opportunities as well, which means like there's a lot of these penalized sites on sale, and they trade at well below multiple averages because they just want to get rid of them. They don't know like there's still value in these the content. So I've just been scooping them up like pennies on the dollar, stripping the content, and then just throwing it on one of my sites. And if you want like a unethical life hack, just 301 it to your competitors, and it's and go on about your day.
And they inherit all those problems.
Yeah, that's terrible. But you shouldn't do that. That's awful. Probably just redirect it to like Outlook India or something like that.
There you go. And that's why there's the problems with Outlook India now. It's you.
Jackie's always the problem. Jacky is Google's problem.
Yeah, I've definitely, so like the last 2 weeks, I think I redirected at least 10 domains to Outlook India just to test,
just to see
like how it reacts, and it didn't react well. But
really, are these like under like a tier 2 link building strategy?
No. I just thought like more links on this page means higher rankings. So I did like completely irrelevant domains, like think home niche onto, I don't know, like a woodworking page. And I wanted to see if it ranked because, it's kind of tangentially related. So it ranked really well in the beginning, but it got destroyed by Google. But I did recently redirect. I don't know if you've seen me posting about it, but like the VPN article on Outlook India is still ranking. And the redirect was it's 100% relevant. So it's bestvpncanada.ca redirected into an article that targets Best VPN Canada. So and that's ranking till this day, like till, I don't know what date is it? What's the date? But September 14th. Yeah, it's been live for like a month now, and typically it drops a bit, but it hasn't dropped yet, which is fun to think about. I guess the types of links you're getting do matter at the end of the day, and it's not just like pounding it with nasty 301 links.
I mean, Google has said for a long time that they ignore bad links, but that doesn't mean that they don't ignore the relevancy factor of those links.
Yeah. But it's just like fun experiments because Outlook India is whatever. I won't feel bad if they get penalized. It's actually beneficial for me because they target a lot of my keywords as well. How do you feel about this whole Parasite thing, by the way? Sorry, go ahead.
all this Parasite drama. I mean, I think that if you're interested in playing both sides, it only ends well for you if you are willing to invest into the Parasite side of things, whether it's Outlook India or I mean, they've become the monochrome for what it is. But let's be honest, there's hundreds of websites you can utilize for this, and they just happen to be the darling child or the media focus of it. So it's, the concept is, rank and bank from a large domain. And until Google decides that once you become a DR80, you can do whatever you want, until they decide that changes, like the concept will remain the same. And if for whatever reason it doesn't, then it means that us smaller sites can go back to ranking by beating people out with better SEO and better on page. So either way, it seems like as long as you're smart about it, you can come out on top.
Yeah. And this whole idea of parasites got me like really thinking in the last couple of weeks. I don't know your customer profile, like how strong their sites are, but I started approaching customers as like, hey, I can open up like a new revenue channel for you in this like affiliate game. And like we kind of approach it like it'll be a completely rev share model. You don't have to pay us anything. But Jared, have you ever considered like, I don't know, doing a rev share model, taking equity in companies? Because I'm sure you've left money on the table because you've seen the great work you've done on the SEO front for your clients, and then you see like their traffic is like mooning, you know what I mean? And your upside is the retainer, which is still great, and you'll get referrals, so on and so forth. But have you ever like considered taking a piece of the pie of a client?
I have. I think about it a lot. I think about it a lot because like this is the tough part about being an SEO agency is that you actually, the better you do, the less money you tend to make. Because the quicker you get a company ranking really well, it takes a very astute CEO or marketing team to say, oh, now that we're ranking for everything we want to rank for, let's keep putting more time and money into the SEO side of things. The typical response is, hey, thanks. We're now ranking what we want to be ranking for. We don't need you anymore. You're out of a job. And so,
really?
Oh yeah,
that's crazy.
That happens. I mean, not all the time. So like I said, our average clients are around for longer than a year, so we tend to somehow find clients that don't think that. But if you're around for a while, it only speaks to like one thing. It's because we're succeeding and you're seeing the value in hiring us for additional things. Because if we weren't succeeding, you'd fire us. You wouldn't be paying us for 16 months. And if you got your success and then moved on. But it does happen to sub 25% of clients. And those are the ones that I'm like, oh my gosh, if we could have just moved into rev share, and then I could keep doing the things I know we could still add value to your website because, 6 months of SEO work isn't going to solidify everything long term. And then if we could move into rev, but yeah, it's complicated. I think I've only tried it a couple of times and it's worked once. I do have rev share on one client and it's great. It's like a lead gen website, so it's like a local lead gen site. And I told them, I'm like, hey, because that was the story here is this was a website that does a service, but there's secondary and tertiary services they don't want to do. And we had built up, call it whatever you want, topical authority. We'll go with that one, just to push the topical authority button on the podcast. But we had built up topical authority and had published and we're ranking for all these other terms. And so I said, let's put leads here and sell these leads to people who do it. And I want to do it as a rev share. And they said, sure. Okay. So that still works great for us. And we still make money every month from taking a cut of the leads we sell for that. And I'd like to do more of that, to be honest with you. It's a great idea. It's a great way to keep the client around too. They're almost retaining just as a matter of they're seeing all that happen. So
yeah. And I mean, especially if you own the relationships between, I don't know, like the affiliate networks or the affiliate partners that you have. If you own the relationship, I would say it's near impossible for them to leave, which in itself it's like a double-edged sword for them because they're kind of, if they leave, they're kind of stuck. Their revenue is going to go to zero. So yeah, it's a tough call. I've personally find it lately, it's a much easier sell than to sell SEO. I'm just like, because nowadays, especially if they have to have a strong site, you can see like, yeah, we'll be able to rank in a couple months. And once the faucet's running, man, it's going to go crazy. So
I was thinking along those lines. I use like a password software, right, to manage my passwords, and I like went to log in yesterday at their homepage because every once in a while you kind of got to like reset your login to make sure. So I was going to log in. They have a big banner across the top, like 40% off this month. I'm like, oh man, what am I? I've been a client for 10 years now, I think, and like I'm paying full price. And it made me think like, yeah, I'm never going anywhere. Like I've got, whatever, all my passwords integrated in here. Everything's in there. Like the switching costs are just, I can't be bothered. And it made me think like, man, these people could, aside from literally their software not working anymore, like I'm stuck with them for as long as I'm using the internet. Yeah. I'll be broke and my last paycheck, my last dollar will go to keeping this alive because of the pain of having to deal with password management elsewhere. And like, that's what I'm thinking. Like just reminded me, like I've got to continually focus on how to make my business that sticky, right? Like how do we make, in my case, an agency, same with you, Jacky, like all of us, like how do we make our businesses so sticky? Like the concept you just talked about where the client basically can't leave. And by the way, not because you're holding them hostage, because you're providing them so much value. It would be dumb for them to try to figure out how to switch and how to try to move on.
Yeah. But it's a fun topic to think about. And this whole concept of rev share, I'm super bullish on. It's because like, if you're so confident in your ability, like just take a cut. But it's going to be a huge cut. But because I don't know, the 3 to 5K a month retainers that we start at, it's like not that interesting to me anymore. It's like, but it's interesting that you're also looking into it. Man, you should, if I were you and I got like the profile is more like local clients or like these SaaS companies, I would totally take a cut. I don't know if you've heard of it, but I did a deal with like a Miami construction company where they're like, if you rank top 3 in like the snack pack as well as like the organic Google, you'll get 10% of our company, and it's like a $5 million a year company. And dude, I did that in like a week. It was the easiest thing I've ever done.
Wow, so that's brilliant.
But then it's like it's not as easy as it sounds. You have to like, it has to be like right place, right time. You have to identify like, okay, they actually have a really strong site. They're just not doing the best practices. I'm surprised you haven't done this yet. You should totally look into this. Like maybe on your next leads, it will be crazy. You're gonna be a part owner of like 50 companies next time we speak.
I should. I've owned a decent number of companies over the years, and I've kind of shied away from ownership. But I like the sub majority owner model because that means I don't have all the work associated with owning the business.
That's true. How do you? I saw your last video. You had a thumbs down when you were talking about the Amazon influencer program. What was that?
Clickbait, Jacky. You know it.
A little bit of clickbait. A little bit of clickbait. Yeah. Hey, come on, we got to get people over to YouTube. You watched it, James? It wasn't all depressing.
I haven't watched it yet. No, I need to watch it still.
August. It was a recap of August, and August was pretty bad. August was the first downturn. Added more videos, made a lot less money. Made 26% less money. A little bit of tongue in cheek there. I'm not giving up on it by any stretch, but it just proves the volatility that is inherent in a somewhat new and ever-changing platform like this one. And we're kind of used to what Amazon Associates looks like now. It's pretty stable, pretty even. But earnings were definitely down in August. Earnings are up in September, so we'll see what that roller coaster ride looks like.
Is it down because of seasonality? People are outside more. Like, what was the reason? Are you getting less visibility on your videos? Like, what's the?
Yeah, super good question. So I kind of deep dove it in the video. It was basically like, hey, earnings are down, whatever it was, 26%. But clicks on my videos was only down like 15%. Orders was only down about 15%. So what that meant is that people were ordering less, but they weren't spending as much per order. That was the big driver. And then clicks to the videos was only down like 5 or 8%. So it does speak to seasonality, people not spending as much in August, big Prime Day in July, Q4 coming up. It looks mostly related not to like not as much to videos not showing up as much, these sorts of things, but just people weren't spending as much in August because clicks were pretty even, orders were down, revenue was what was really down. So when you add all that up, it looks like people just weren't spending as much in the shopping cart or adding as much to their shopping cart.
Man, that means your Q4 is going to be stellar. Are you hyped for that? Are your other like niche sites also Q4 heavy, or is it like relatively? Is it like gardening, where it's, I don't know, springtime type of thing?
So most of my niche sites are like, not most, but the ones that make the most money are kind of B2B. And so Q4 isn't really a big deal. They might get a little bit of a bump, but it's like it's more selling stuff to people who are professionals or who are in a business environment. So I am really excited about the Amazon Influencer Program because the only Q4 bump I usually get in terms of our websites or our own, like these kind of things, is like ad revenues go up, right? RPMs go up, which is cool, but like ad revenue doesn't really excite me very much in the big scheme of things in terms of like, it doesn't have crazy bumps. It has like 25% bumps. So I am pretty excited about this. I mean, who knows? So the people I talked to have been doing it for a couple of years. I had a couple people on the podcast that have been doing it for a number of years, and they just say Q4 is off the charts when it comes to the influencer videos. So yeah, we'll see. I'm trying to crank out a bunch of videos right now to get ready for it.
Yeah. Why not? How many videos are you at right now?
It's a good question. Let's see here. Let me pull up the app.
But the app shows you how many videos you have already?
The app shows me how many videos I have.
You have a whole storefront.
Yeah, you got a whole storefront.
Jacky, you said you were going to do this.
No, I'm not doing it.
638.
That's crazy. And you're still doing it yourself?
Yeah. Myself and my business partner, although I do most of it at this point because I'm so fast at it. I'm now down to doing 12 videos in 35 minutes.
Damn.
That's crazy. Is this like your hobby? Because that's wild. You gotta.
It's kind of a game now. Sure. It's kind of a game. It's like, I've got like an hour before my next meeting. Oh, that's plenty of time to have lunch and get 12 videos done. It's like I don't know. It's kind of becoming a little bit of a weird like hobby of sorts. I was sharing a couple weeks ago, like there's like a balance. Like it's a side hustle. It's fun.
Yeah.
When you look at how much the influencer program makes a month right now, like $2,000 to $4,000, compared to how much like the agency generates and all these other things, like I can't put too much time into it, but it's like a game to me, and I get into these kind of gamifying it, and I've gamified the idea of how quickly can I make a quality video for the platform, and that's the thing about it. Like these don't need to be YouTube videos. Like man, YouTube videos take me forever. These just need to be really quick hit videos, and so it's almost become a game of some sorts that hopefully will grow, especially in Q4, because I got to make sure I don't put too much time and energy into it.
Yeah. Nice. How do you have like a certain script you follow? And how long is your videos? Is it like 30 seconds, a minute?
They're basically all 1.5 to 2.5 minutes long. And they all follow like a very same script. Like I say pretty much the same intro. Obviously what you're saying about the product changes, but like I go through the exact same, like basically describe it, share what I like, share something I change about it. Bye.
Nice. James, where are you at right now for that?
I've only got 86 videos, but hang on, take a look at this.
Ooh, show and tell.
I got my third shipment of stuff came yesterday from this company. They've been sending me a bunch of different shit to review for Amazon, and I don't mind receiving free stuff. So that's a perk.
What are your numbers at, James?
Look at me. Mine right now is around only $300 a month off these 80 odd videos.
That's all right. You'll get there.
Bad for 80 videos.
Them, right? Yeah.
Yeah, just gotta get. I mean, Jared's got like a shit ton, so he's cranking them out.
That's next level.
Higher ticket items. Yeah. So, but we'll get there slowly but surely. Just keep adding them on, and it's passive, right? It's fully passive. Once you do it, it's done. You don't have to do anything to update them, etc., etc.
I think it does. Like it's just about a matter of tapping into Amazon's like buying habits. Like when people start buying stuff on Amazon and you have videos, you'll make more money. Like I made like $2,100 in August, but I'm looking my last 7 days of September. I'm at $750. So that'll be
crazy.
A lot higher and stuff. So And it was even higher in terms of the 7-day average earlier in the month. So, you know, like, and it's so funny. I don't know, James, if you've seen it, probably like 3 or 4 of your 80 something videos are the ones contributing the vast majority of your revenue.
Yeah, especially like the high ticket stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the other thing. High ticket is great. High ticket stuff is like, you know, you do the math, right? Like we're all kind of evaluating this in our heads. Like, and this is true for people who are going after niche websites, right? Like, do I make a website about something that sells a ton of it on Amazon, right? Like it's just $25 products and they just sell like crazy. Or do I go after these high ticket things? Well, after making websites and selling affiliate stuff, I found that going after high ticket stuff pays a lot better than going after a lot of low ticket stuff. And guess what? The same is true with shoppable videos.
For sure.
Fair enough. Hey Jared, I always wondered, how many people have you interviewed on the Niche Pursuits podcast so far?
Probably around 150.
That's crazy.
Probably around 150. I broke 100 late last year or earlier this year. So probably nearing 150, probably not quite there.
Nice. And I'm guessing they're mostly like site owners, right? Like the three of us. And
yeah, probably 75%.
Is there like is there like an overarching theme typically with these people? Like is there, I don't know, are they typically marketers by trade, or are they always, I don't know, more creative, or are they more like analytical people?
Vast majority are single site owners. I thought that was interesting.
That is
but
interesting.
I very rarely, they always have like a side hustle, like a dabble, like a second site or a third site. But the vast majority have focused on one site and have not wavered on that focus. They don't try to run 2 or 3 sites at the same time. They would not tell you that they run a portfolio of websites. They would tell you that they run this site. And then when you start asking questions like, oh yeah, and I started that one, but I haven't gotten around to it, you know, they'll tell you that they run one website. They don't consider themselves portfolio site owners. They don't have a portfolio. They're single site owners.
That's an interesting insight, actually. Yeah, I mean that kind of goes against like my whole idea of diversification versus like focus,
you
right?
need both, right?
Yeah.
I say that as I do the opposite, and you know, somewhat maybe sheepishly have to admit that, but that is a trend. That is the biggest trend I've found from interviewing hundreds now of kind of successful website operators.
Gotcha. And who has been like the most impressive guest on the pod so far? Like, I don't know, I mean, maybe in terms of like popularity or like name, I don't know, like the biggest name.
In terms of, I mean, we've had some huge, like some people maybe you wouldn't have heard of, but that are driving some pretty big numbers on the podcast. We've had a lot of, I mean, I think my favorite ones are interviewing the people who like you've never heard of and they're making 20 grand a month. Just this week, we released a podcast episode with Sarah Bond, and she's making between $30,000 and $40,000 a month on her food blog that she started while she was in some form of culinary school. And you know,
crazy.
It's just crazy. And you're like talking to her about it, and you're kind of hearing what she does and getting into it, and you're like, you're making 40 grand a month, and you're rocking it, you know, and like. I'm not saying no one's heard of her because that would be overly generalistic of me, but like I'd never met her before this. I consider myself to be pretty darn active in this space, and I meet these kind of people every week that are absolutely killing it, making anything I'm doing in terms of the website building world look small. And so it's really fun to interview these people that are making 20, 30, 40 grand a month and have a process they're following. That's what they do.
Yeah. And I noticed, I don't know if you're in the Media Vine Facebook group, but there's a ton, like a fuck ton of mommy bloggers in there. And they don't even think about SEO. They're just like, I'm just going to write about what I want to write. And they don't like think about the nitty gritty. And they're banking as well. It's like the same people like making 30, 40, 50K a month. And they have like, They know about SEO, but they're not really focused on it, you know?
It's got to be your new niche, Jacky.
Mommy
what
blogging.
do you mean? Mommy
Getting into
blogging?
mommy
Yeah.
blogging. Yeah.
Spencer
There you
bought
go.
a mommy blog a while back. He's done some fun stories about that, where he bought one and kind of let it run itself, and then he ended up selling it. I don't know.
Who did?
I remember that actually. Spencer did. I remember that. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, Spencer did a couple years ago. I don't know how many years ago. It's probably 2 or 3 years ago. He sold it. He bought like a mommy blog and just let it go, let it run.
Jared, I wanted to go a little bit into your process around. I know you did a little. Was it a case study or a tweet series about deleting content on your site? Because people were talking about not to delete content, to delete content. What's your take on that? What did you end up doing?
Google versus Jared Bauman. Deleting content, yes. No, somebody actually like retweeted something and made a big deal like Google versus Jared. Which one do we believe? It's like, God.
jeez.
So yeah, no, deleting content's been definitely in the news lately. So I have been getting a lot of questions about it. We delete content all the time. Like I'm constantly deleting content for client sites. You need buy-in from them, but we're recommending that we delete content quite a bit. We delete content on sites that we buy or inherit. And so, we did a case study that we ended up publishing in search engine land, where we deleted over half the website, and it ended up being, over the coming years, I think now over 1,500% increase in traffic, over 400% increase in revenue for the brand, an e-com brand. The $10,000 website that we own, we bought it when it was at making $2,000 a month. We deleted over 75% of the content. It now makes $10,000 a month. Traffic has gone up more than 1,000%. So yeah, I got lots of case studies we could talk about deleting content. I'm very bullish on it. And I think it's a brilliant idea for certain applications in certain situations.
So how do you decide what to delete? And then when you delete it, what do you do? Are you just letting it 404? Or are you doing something different?
Yeah. So the big outcry lately is that Google came out and said, don't delete content in the summer of 2023. They came out and said, don't delete content that's old. That's a bad idea. And at first glance, it sounds like they're saying that deleting content is not good. And the reality is that's not what they're saying. What they're saying is it was in response to a company that was deleting old content just because it was old. And I would agree. And that kind of opens up the conversation. Like just deleting content to do it or to think that it's a quick hit SEO strategy is a bad idea. And that's the thing. Like I love deleting content when it's done strategically. And old content isn't necessarily what should get deleted. Generally speaking, there's two ways to look at content, in my opinion, as whether it's a candidate for being deleted or not. First off, is it getting traffic? If it's not getting traffic, put it in the I'm going to consider bucket. Obviously it needs to have been out for a while. Like how long does it take your website to rank for content? If it takes a day, well, then if it's been out for a month or two, consider that. But if it takes your website 6 months to kind of rank for anything, then wait a while. But then even once you see that it's not getting traffic, then it's a question of, should I update it? Should I just keep it as is, or should I delete it? And updating content, as you guys know, man, it takes forever. Like it's hard work. It's not easy. And if it's not producing any other value for your website, it's not part of a topical cluster. It's not part of something that is helping your service or your offering, then you might want to consider deleting it. And then we get especially bullish on deleting content when it's outside the website's kind of zone of authority. So that case study that you mentioned, like this was an e-com brand that sold one type of product, right? So like imagine you are going back to the gardening example. Imagine you're a gardening e-com brand and you sell shears, right? Gardening shears. And everything you've done for 5 years has been about gardening shears. You're one of the best at gardening shears. All your backlinks, all your mentions, all your features, everything about you is gardening shears. And then you go into planter boxes. Like it could work, right? But in this case, and in this analogy, they had expanded into planter boxes and into, citrus trees. I'm just making this up as hypothetical. But it is basically, it is a good analogy because that's what happened. And so we came in and they were doing well and the content was growing. And then in a Google update, they lost some traffic. And if you just look at it from afar, it's like, okay, they lost some traffic. But when you dove in, all the traffic they lost were in these secondary categories they started. And so they had published a lot of content and started these brands, but never done all the work to grow these secondary topics. And so the question then becomes, do you want to go all in and build links and build topical authority and build relevance around these, or do you want to delete them? Because I think that they are diluting your topical authority as a garden shear expert. And they didn't want to stomach the budget for building these out the way they needed to be. We deleted it, and that's what led to the growth long term. We regained our kind of authority and lost all the dilution problems. And then the site grew again. The site was back to just being about garden shears, and it was back to just being in its zone of expertise. So, lot to unpack there in terms of what to delete. But yeah, going back to it, your last question was, what do you do with it when you decide to delete it? It's got good links that are relevant, 301 it. If it has no links, 410 it. Not 404, but 410. Tell Google this content's gone for good and never coming back.
Nice. You done something similar, Jacky, at all?
Yeah, a lot actually. Mostly on the client side, because man, Jared, I'm sure you see this a lot, but man, clients put out some of the darndest blog posts of all time, like the most random. Like they're quite literally sometimes writing for the sake of writing. I'm putting it out. Yeah, of like, this is targeting 0 keywords. I don't know what this is for. It's not even enough. Like, it's not like new news. It's like 5 ways on optimizing, I don't know, like whatever they do. But it's bizarre. So I just typically I go in and I just call like 90% of their site, and then their copywriter is like, "What the heck? This is my life's work." But like tough toenails. Like don't like they're not targeting anything. What's the point of this? And yeah, I think
100%. We see the exact same thing across the board. Like it's like the CMO said, we need to start publishing blog posts, and so someone's like, "Okay, I'll just start writing stuff," and they just like it's amazing. Like, how did you find something that is both not newsworthy and no one is searching for? It's like you have to try, and yet 90% of the content we see is like, how did you find something that has nothing to do with like a moment in time in your industry, and no one will ever find or search for in their entire lives? It's just amazing.
Yeah, but this is like agency things. I'm sure some in-house SEO can try to justify this, but no chance. We delete that like all day, every day, Sunday included, and it's a tough call though, especially if you're working with like a large team and this is like their entire strategy and you're flipping it on its head. A lot of bureaucracy, navigating it is hell for me. So yeah, but it's common practice, I would say, for our agency. And yeah, James, you got to revisit it as well.
Sometimes you probably run into this, Jacky, where you're like, "Oh, we should delete this," and the content team's like, "Yeah, it's junk," and you're kind of like, "Well, why did you publish it?"
Why'd you
and
do
you
it?
find out like, oh, the social media team wanted it, or like they need that for their email, or their board requires that they publish this every month for blah, blah, blah. And you're like, oh my goodness, like just navigating kind of the different departments at these larger companies. So if you're on your own and you're building your own website, you don't have to navigate all this. Just be thankful. You can kind of make these decisions for what they really are.
Yeah. Always fun navigating those murky waters. But yeah, I got to be mindful of the time. Jared, thank you so much for coming on today. Where can people find you?
Yeah, agency is 201creative.com. If for whatever reason you don't want to hire Jacky's agency, that's where mine is. But I also blog and share stuff like insights and stuff for other SEOs at weekendgrowth.com. You can sign up for the newsletter there. That would be wonderful. I do try to share once a week. I can't keep up with the volume, Jacky, that you guys share at. And you guys share great stuff. I share kind of once a week on a single topic that I'm seeing in like the SEO industry. Maybe pulling from a case study I have or something like that. And then Twitter is just where I kind of post random screenshots from Google and share thoughts. And that's just my name, Jared Bauman.
Perfect. Thanks. Thank you so much for coming on, man.
My pleasure. Thank you.